Welcome back to Eat Sleep Boxing Repeats YouTube channel. This is a reaction video to the news that Leigh Wood will fight and defend his world titles against Mauricio Lara on September the 24th. Delighted to be joined by Elliott. Elliott, how are you? General reaction to this fight being announced. How are you feeling?
I'm good. First and foremost, reaction to this is mixed. I'm well up for it as a fight, to be honest, from a spectator perspective. But I've seen a lot of reaction pre-fight announcement as well from people who are a bit skeptical about it and saying that Leigh Wood should have avoided this, frankly. But I'm from a pure boxing fan, from a pure observational perspective, I'm well up for it.
Yeah, good stuff, mate. Good stuff. As we know, Leigh Wood had that emphatic victory over Michael Conlan a few months ago. I think that's probably a contender for Fight of the Year, UK-wise, the best fight that's happened in the UK so far this year. I think it's a good shout for that. Do you think, I'm talking about like the likes of if you're Leigh Wood's manager, advisor, trainer, would you be advising him to take this fight? I mean, there were rumors of the Leo Santa Cruz fight, the Josh Warrington fight, maybe other unification options as well. Do you think this is a good idea for Leigh Wood? Respect the fact he's taking this fight. It's a dangerous fight, but yeah, is this a good idea?
I think that's the thing, is you separate it out from a fighter perspective to a management perspective. I saw something that Sam Jones actually tweeted earlier in the week around his reaction to it, which it makes me suspect myself obviously to have to agree with Sam Jones so emphatically as this. But he was saying that he was saying that Leigh Wood, if anything, should have rematched Conlan, and then if he loses the rematch to Conlan, obviously have a rematch clause in it, so then he could have a trilogy essentially and set himself up for life financially, given the size of that fight in this country and with the risk associated. Which I can actually see some sense in that, to be perfectly honest. But when you mentioned some of the other names, obviously around there, obviously Warrington, Santa Cruz, obviously from a fighter perspective, obviously he wanted Santa Cruz, didn't he? And then we're talking about the money there not necessarily being what it should be for a fight of that magnitude and of that risk. Warrington, I think, is a great fight. To be honest with you, I think that would have been an easier challenge of all the challenges that we mentioned. Frankly, I mean, they say easy, obviously it's sort of tough ask, but with the crowd size that Warrington brings. Obviously with Wood as well, you obviously got that kind of football rivalry going through that one as well.
Yeah.
So I think, to be honest with you, that would have been the fight that I'd have probably chosen. I think Leigh Wood beats Warrington, whereas I think a rematch against Conlan was winning that fight. Obviously he stopped it in emphatic fashion. Can't criticise him for that, but Conlan looked boxing wise to edge it essentially. And then again, you've got Santa Cruz and you've got obviously Lara as being different prospects. Obviously, Cruz being violent in his own way and Mexican and young is a serious prospect. I think it'd be a great fight, though. I really do think it'd be an all-action fight, to be perfectly honest with you. I don't see it going 12 rounds. But yeah, I think from a fan perspective, from a fighter perspective, fair play to Leigh Wood for sticking his name in and going for this.
Yeah, I think that was going to be my next question, really. Does this fight end in a stoppage? And I think Leigh Wood's last 3 fights, which have all been wins, have all ended in stoppages. As we've seen, Lara can punch. As we've seen the first fight against Josh Warrington, his last fight, which is in the US, ends in a fantastic stoppage finish as well. It's too early to ask for a prediction, but would you be willing to give any sort of prediction in terms of, do you think this fight goes late? Do you think it goes early? What are your general, now that the fight has been announced, what's your gut feeling on what could happen?
I think it'll be. I'll put it this way: I don't think it'll go 12 rounds. As I've said, I mean, I know that we've seen Wood versus Conlan and Wood versus with Kanzu were both stoppages very late, obviously, weren't they? Both 12th round stoppages. But he's shown there's obviously conditions as well, so he can go late. Obviously, with that decision lost to Chas Dickens. Tends to be his KOs tend to sort of come from sort of round 9 onwards. So in a way, I can kind of, if Leigh Wood's going to prevail, I can kind of see that happening. Whereas with Lara, similarly, has got a lot of sort of latter half KO. So I would say, yeah, it won't be necessarily early, but I think it'll be sort of post round 6, but it'll definitely be a KO. When it comes to who's going to win it, to be honest with you, like when both guys are carrying sort of power like that, obviously like Leigh Wood. I mean, granted, it's sort of 16 KOs out of 26 victories, with Lara with 17 out of 24. But you can just, we've obviously what we've seen, the way Stock Conlon, the way some Kanzu as well, like Leigh Wood can hit. So yeah, I think it'll be latter half of the fight stoppage. I don't know. Yeah, like I say, like it's too early necessarily to predict someone to win.
Yeah.
But I think to be honest, you've got to sort of look at how ranked Lara is in the various divisions as well, even by Ring Magazine as well. This is a serious challenge that Leigh Wood's taking. Again, you'd have to say you've got to just take it hat off to him, hat off to him for taking it. He could have ducked this and gone a different route. So fair play to him for taking it.
100%. If I said to you, Leigh Wood is going to fight Lara or Santa Cruz or Josh Warrington in his next fight, in what order would you want to see those fights in terms of from an entertainment fan perspective?
That's a good question. I think I'd like to see Warrington just for the British interest.
Yeah.
Frankly, I think style wise as well. Like Warrington's almost due to it. Obviously, what happened with Lara has almost been. There's almost this like revisionist history where people are sort of not giving. I don't think the respect that he actually deserved for that run that he came through Selby, Frampton, and Barry. So I think he's obviously a live fighter, but with his style that he has as well, I think it'd make a really good fight. You imagine him sort of stick it on him quite early, high sort of work rate, high punch volume, not a KO, doesn't carry a lot of power. So in a way, it's almost like the Conlon fight, just with Wood. But yeah, obviously with an orthodox fighter. So I'd like to see that one first, just for the size that it would be in this country. Then I'd like to go see Santa Cruz, just for the fact that of the way that belt is kind of set up and the way that division is set up. With obviously Santa Cruz being the super champion, Wood obviously being the champion there. So that would be a great fight for me, I think. Would it happen in this country? Probably not. So in a way, never say never, but I think it'd be unlikely. So there'll be one for the travelling. So I think you've obviously got Warrington for the British fans. Go over there for that one. And I think this Lara fight is it's probably, for me, it's arguably the hardest of the three in a weird way. But I just kind of feel like it's almost that he'll almost get respect from boxing fans, obviously, that can understand and appreciate that. But almost outside of that, it doesn't have the sort of cachet crossover that the other two would have. So which is why, again, I'm surprised in some ways that he took it, but almost he deserves utmost respect for taking it.
Absolutely. No, good stuff, mate. Really looking forward to it. I've got two more questions. First question is, this fight will fall on September the 24th, the same night as Joe Joyce versus Joseph Parker. Joe Joyce versus Joseph Parker is taking place in Nottingham. No, Joe Joyce versus Joseph Parker is taking place in Manchester, and it will be on BT Sport Box Office. Whereas this fight between Leigh Wood and Mauricio Lara will be taking place in Nottingham on Dazn, and obviously need to be a Dazn subscriber to watch that fight. I feel like when these fights happen, it'd be quite easy for the two promotional companies to say, let's flip a coin. Someone gets the 10 o'clock ring walk, someone gets the 10:45 ring walk, but that doesn't seem to happen. They seem to happen at the same time. If they are both ring walking at the same time, what fight are you going to watch? Regardless of it being pay-per-view, what you're paying for, what you're not paying for. What would you want to watch?
I think look, this is going to sound harsh, but I watched Joe Joyce against Ustinov on the undercard of Saunders and Stevenage, and I vowed then never to make the same mistake again. But he has, he impressed me with when he fought Dubois and he beat him. And I like Joe Joyce, actually. I really like Joe Joyce. Like his journey, I think he deserves a chance for a world title. Like him as a person, even though he gets obviously slandered for being boring, but at the same time, I actually think he's like a humble guy and a genuine guy. So I'm not criticising here, but that said, I cannot turn down watching Leigh Wood fight with Mauricio Lara to watch Joe Joyce jab Joe Parker to death.
Yeah.
That's just how I feel about it. But equally, don't get me wrong, that's a good fight. But I just can't. Yeah, I won't be prioritising a fight involving Joe Joyce style wise over one that involves Leigh Wood and Mauricio Lara.
Completely fair. We shall see. Thank you for all of that, Elliot. Final question from me. As we know, our prediction king, Greg, predicted Leigh Wood to lose to Reece Mells a year or so ago. He then predicted Leigh Wood to lose to Michael Conlon. Unfortunately, he was wrong both times. Which way do you think Greg will go for this one? Do you think he'll predict Leigh Wood to lose for a third time in a row?
I think he'll go for the triple, mate. Yeah, I think I think he's doubled down. I think he'll triple down. I think Greg, as a lot of people are, and it's a fair and understandable belief, is that the British fighters essentially being used and prepped for the American market. So that's obviously to raise American fighters by coming over here and beating British fighters. However, on the other side of that, I almost feel like Leigh Wood is a world champion. So if you are a world champion, you act like one. You take on people that essentially are challenging you.
Yeah.
So, which I think he almost believes Leigh Wood as well. So I can see why he'd avoid it. But I can also see why he's taking it. But I think Greg, when the prediction video does come out, will be predicting a Leigh Wood loss, and I think he'll be predicting a Leigh Wood loss by stoppage. At which point, the week following the fight, we'll either have Leigh Wood contacting us going, "That's 3 from 3," or or Greg will be resurgent finally 2-1 down, pulling a goal back.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see if he's 2-1 down. We'll have to get Leigh Wood to fight.
I think what it's building to be perfectly honest with you, though, is Leigh Wood versus Greg Doyle, either in Glasgow or in Nottingham. But yeah, maybe we could branch out and have them both predicting other things.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. Maybe
100 meters hurdles, for example, or whatever it is. But
absolutely,
yeah.
find out who
it's the rival we didn't know we needed, but the rival we've definitely got, and are now enjoying.
Definitely. I'm looking forward to tagging Leigh Wood in this and him thinking who the fuck's Greg Doyle as well. All right, cool. Elliot, thank you for your time. Appreciate all of that. Looking forward to it. Leigh Wood defending his world title against Mauricio Lara, September 24th. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, and yeah, looking forward to it.